Welcome to the Journey of Restoration, CPR style, the Foundation series. This isn't just another lesson or program, it's an invitation to step into healing, restoration that is practical, transformative, and sustainable. No matter where you are in life, restoration is possible. But healing isn't something that we do alone. It happens in relationships. That's why this journey is built on 3 foundational elements. Connection. We were never meant to do life alone. Healing comes when we allow ourselves to connect with God, with others, and even with the parts of ourselves that need restoration. Psychoeducation. When we understand our brain and our bodies respond to stress and trauma, we can begin to break free and explore how past experiences shape our present responses, and more importantly, how we can retrain our mind and nervous system for healing. Routine. Change doesn't happen overnight. True transformation takes practice. By building healthy rhythms, we create space for healing to take root in our everyday lives. To guide us, we will use a rhythm of practice called GROW. It's a cycle we'll return to each session to develop sustainable healing habits. GROW is the rhythm of practice, and we start with gather. First, we gather. What are we gathering? This is where we start, where we take in new insights, explore fresh perspectives, and begin to see our lives with greater clarity. Gathering isn't just about receiving information. It's about intentionally seeking what will help us grow. It's about being open to wisdom, learning from experiences, and allowing new truth to take root. As we begin, I encourage you to ask yourself, what do I need to learn in this season? What truth do I need to embrace to move forward? Because what we gather today will shape our growth tomorrow. Next, we reflect. This is where we pause and we process and make sense of what we've gathered. In this session, you'll hear Ann Nolan powerful testimonies. As you listen, don't just hear her words. Reflect on your own journey. How does her experience resonate with you? What insights stand out? And what lessons apply to your life? This isn't about passive listening. It's about actively considering, how does this connect to my story? What is God revealing to me in this moment? Reflection is where knowledge begins to transform into wisdom. And then we'll open up. Healing requires honesty with ourselves, with others, and with God. Here we'll exchange in creative and reflective exercises designed to help you explore your thoughts and your emotions. Sometimes we'll draw, sometimes we'll journal, and sometimes we'll simply sit in quiet reflection. Why? Because different forms of expression help unlock different parts of our hearts. Some things are easier to say through a picture than through words. Some truths only surface when we sit in silence. This is your space to process, to let go of what's been holding you back and open yourself up to the healing God has for you. And then we move into walkout. Finally, we walk out because healing isn't just about what we know, it's about what we do. Ann Nolan will lead us in practical steps to apply what we've learned. Every session will include something for you to put into action, because real transformation happens when knowledge moves beyond theory into our everyday life. So ask yourself, how can I take a step forward today? What small actions will move me toward the freedom and healing I desire? Restoration isn't just a concept, it's a journey, and every journey requires steps. At the start of each session, I'll share what to expect, not as a checklist, but as a way for you to make sure you're feeling prepared and at ease. This isn't about having the perfect answer or performing a certain way. This is simply a space for you to reflect, process, and learn to be present. My role is to guide you through this with honesty and hopefully grace, creating a space where you can be real, reflective, and open for what's to come. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's begin. The learning objectives for this session will include, number 1, understand how thoughts and experiences shape brain structure and perception. Concept 2, recognize the brain's ability to rewire itself through neuroplasticity. 3, apply practical strategies to rewire negative thought patterns. And 4, engage in the CPR process, which is that connection, psychoeducation, and routine for brain transformation. So in each session, we'll grow, gather, reflect, open up, and walk out. This rhythm is just about learning. It's about living. It's about moving from information to transformation, from hearing about healing to experiencing it. Are you ready? Let's grow together and step into the freedom that awaits us in the Journey of Restoration CPR Style, the Foundational Series.
Hi friends, I'm Dr. Lori, and today we're going to be diving into something that has a power to change your life. It's your brain. Now I have to tell you, I love the brain. I'm one of those. I study it in my free time. It absolutely fascinates me. Why, you may ask? Because it's the most complex thing in the universe. It's designed by Jesus, for Jesus, and he holds it together. And here is something incredible. Your brain can heal. No matter what you've been through, no matter what has shaped your thinking, your brain can rewire itself. You have the ability to reshape its structure simply by choosing what you allow and don't allow into your mind to shape your brain. And when you begin to do this, everything changes. So let me ask you this question. How are you? No, really. I want you to answer honestly. How are you? Your brain influences how you answer that question. Imagine two people in the same situation. One leaves feeling hurt and rejected, while the other walks away encouraged and full of life. What happened? The situation was the same, but their experiences were different because their brains filtered the event differently. So think of your brain like Play-Doh. Every thought, every experience and emotion leaves an imprint. Everything that you see, hear, and feel passes through your brain first, shaping how you experience the world. But here's the good news. Your brain can be rewired. This isn't just science, it's biblical truth. Romans 12:2 tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Science backs this up. Your brain is designed for change. To change your brain, you need to understand that there are 3 main parts. So I want you to picture your brain as a 3-story house. You have the lower brain, and that's for survival. It's like the basement. It's the foundation. It's where your most basic survival functions live. Your breathing, your heart rate, your fight, flight, or freeze response. It's designed to keep you alive. And then there's the middle brain. That's like your living room, the emotional and imaginative brain. This is where your emotions, your memories, and your imaginations live. It's where you feel connection and joy and pain. It shapes how you see yourself and the world. It's also where you connect with Jesus at an emotional level. And then you have the top part of your brain, the upstairs office, the thinking brain, the executive suite, or the penthouse. This is where logic, problem solving, and decision making happen. It's where you think before you act. There's a game changer with how Jesus made this 3-part brain. And that game changer is a word called neuroplasticity. And what that means is that your brain has the ability to change. This means that you're not stuck. You're not broken. You can retrain your brain at any age. What you focus on shapes your brain. If you dwell on fear for 1 hour a day, your brain becomes an expert in fear. If you focus on God's truth for 1 hour a day, your brain gets wired for peace and for faith. So what are you allowing into your mind? Because whatever you focus on is actually shaping your brain. So in the journey ahead, it's worth the work. We have designed the process to be simple. However, it may not be easy, but it's so worth it. It is not just about learning new information. It's about transformation. As you experience Jesus in a deeper way, you align your thoughts with truth and you break free from destructive patterns. So I want you to imagine being in a crowded mall and suddenly someone collapses. You rush over to their side, you check their pulse, and there's nothing. Without hesitation, what would you do? You would start the CPR process. But what if there's another heart in need of revival, not the one in your chest that pumps blood, but the one in your brain, in the center of your emotions, imaginations, and experiences? This is the middle part of your brain. So here's the process. Just like a physical heart attack needs CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, our brains need their own CPR to heal and to function the way that God has designed. So in the CPR process, C will stand for connection, P is psychoeducation, and R is routine. I want to tell you about each. First is connection, the first step to healing. Just like a first responder reassures a patient, healing starts in relationship, not in isolation. You were designed to connect with God, yourself, and others. The second process is psychoeducation, understanding the brain. You can't change what you don't understand. This step will be about learning how your brain works, giving you power over fear, trauma, and destructive patterns. And then finally, routine, rewiring your brain for lasting change. Just like practicing CPR keeps you prepared for an emergency, daily habits will rewire your brain. Consistency is the key. What you do daily will shape your future. This process, connection, psychoeducation, and routine, is the foundation of a journey of restoration. It's how we move from surviving to thriving. I am so excited to tell you that the end goal is transformation. Imagine a life where your thoughts align with truth, your emotions reflect Christ, your behaviors match His way. That's the mind of Christ in action. So let's start this journey together. Your brain is powerful, your mind can be renewed, and transformation is possible. Are you ready? Let's go.
I'm Ann Nolan Howard, and I want to welcome you on this journey. I first encountered this process about 4 years ago, and it completely changed my life, and not just mine, but also my family, my friends, and my community. Throughout the journey of restoration, I came to truly experience Jesus and what it means to follow Him. My goal is to guide you through this course, sharing how the concepts that are taught transformed my life in hopes of bringing you clarity and encouragement. The steps you take on this 9-week journey are so important, but this is just the beginning. Free resources are available throughout the course to help you continue growing deeper in your relationship with Jesus. Transformation is a lifelong process, and we are so glad to welcome you on the start of your journey. In session 1, Dr. Lori Basie introduced brain basics in the CPR process. Before sharing my experience, I want to take you back about 15 years ago to where I believe God was planting seeds in my life that would later prepare me for my journey of restoration through my son, William. William is our third child, and he was such a peaceful, easy-going baby. But around the age of 2, his behavior started to change. He became increasingly frustrated and aggressive. On top of that, he wasn't hitting some of his developmental milestones like speech. For instance, He wasn't speaking even though he had the words. He was unable to string the words together. Eventually, he was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder. His brain misinterpreted sensory input, triggering survival mode. He would go into fight, flight, and freeze. His behaviors weren't the problem. They were symptoms of faulty neuropathways. So what was the good news? According to his doctor, his brain could actually be rewired over time through occupational therapy. One major struggle for him was texture sensitivity. He avoided certain foods and he wouldn't touch things like sand. Simply explaining to him that, hey, you're safe on an intellectual level, this isn't going to help. This is a top brain function. He was going to have to learn it through experience, which is a midbrain function. The occupational therapists, they were so clever. They introduced textures through fun games and activities, gradually building new neuropathways while starving the old ones. Over time, his brain was rewired, leading to total transformation for him. The things that once prevented him from enjoying life no longer posed a challenge for him. It's the most beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful to God. This actually mirrors our spiritual journeys. Many of us have a head knowledge of God, which is a top brain activity, but we lack the experiential knowledge, which is a midbrain, heart level thing. Real transformation happens through experience. It's encounters with God that reshape our thinking. Like William, we must starve the lies and we must feed the truth. This process is quicker and easier if we're having fun in a supportive community. Transformation takes time and it takes trust. I wanted quick fixes for William. I wanted to see his behavior change. But real change required addressing the root, not just the symptoms. God was healing William's brain through intentional steps, just as he does with us spiritually. As I look back on this time, I remember being so scared, just filled with uncertainty. But now I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that God used that experience as a precursor to demonstrate to me physically, through my son William, what he planned to do with me and spiritually years later. I also could be transformed by the renewing of my mind if I would surrender to God's process.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of our course, let's take a moment to reflect on the why behind this class. Understanding our motivation can set the tone for a meaningful journey ahead. So, what brought you here today? Are you hoping to learn? What motivates you to be a part of this class? Feel free to share our thoughts amongst yourselves. You can pause the video while you share and restart when you're ready to move on. Thank you for sharing with one another. It's inspiring for others to hear the diverse reasons why we're all here. So now let's switch gears a little bit and have some fun with our brains, literally. Our brains are pretty amazing, aren't they? Let's see how we all know them and how we know each other. I'm going to say the name of a brain part, and I want you to shout out one function it performs that you learned from Dr. Basie. Ready? Here we go. The top part. That's right. The top part is responsible for things like thinking, reasoning, and our intellect. It's the boss of our conscious actions. The middle part, exactly. The middle part is for our emotions and our imagination. It is also where trauma and sensory memories sit. Okay, are you ready for the last one? The bottom part. Spot on. You guys are so smart. The bottom part is for our reflexes and instincts. It is our heart beating and our eyes closing when we sneeze. Great opening up, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your session.
All right, so this is where we walk it out. We're going to start with a brain fast. But don't worry, this isn't about food. This is about learning to think about what you're thinking about. Your brain is so powerful. It's always filtering, sorting, making sense of the world. But here's the catch. If we don't pay attention, if we're not intentional, it can get stuck in a negative loop. So this week, we're going to do a brain fast to sort of reset our thinking patterns. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, your goal is to keep your brain in a positive frame of mind. What this means is notice negative thoughts when they show up. Choose to shift your focus to something true, good, or hopeful. Train yourself to catch your thoughts before they spiral. Simple, right? Keep a brain fast journal this week. Each day, take a quick note in your journal about how easy or hard it was to stay positive. If it was easy, you might just say, today felt light, and keeping a positive mindset was natural. You could say it's somewhat easy. I had some struggles, but I redirected my thoughts well. If it was hard, just say, wow, this was tough. Negative thoughts kept creeping in. Be honest. That's it. Just a quick reflection each day. The goal is not perfection, it's awareness. The more we notice our thoughts, the more we can choose what we focus on. And why does this matter? Because what you feed your mind shapes how you experience your life. The more you focus on truth, hope, and possibility, the more your brain learns to find it everywhere you go. And here's a tip. If a negative thought keeps popping up, try to replace it with scripture or a truth statement that reminds you who God says you are. All right, that's the challenge. Let's train our minds for joy and peace and purpose. Be prepared to come back next week. We'll check in and see how it went. Was it easy or hard? We'll discuss that together, and it's going to be fun. Looking forward to seeing you next week.